All right, guys, welcome back to another video. My name is CFI Munden. If you guys can just pause and leave a like and subscribe on this video, that would really help a lot. I'm in Washington, the Seattle area right now, and I got my setup here, so I'm like, why not record a video? And this has been a video that's kind of been on the top of my brain lately because it's not talked about very much. And it is answering a twofold question. It is, when as a student are you ready to solo? And then B, as a CFI, when is your student ready to solo? Okay, so let me just explain to this from my perspective when I believe a student is ready to solo. Okay, my students are ready to solo when they prove to me that they can land a plane without killing themselves. It's really that simple. Like, you're ready to solo if you can land a plane without destroying it and without putting other people's lives at risk, including your own. If you can do that, you're ready to solo. It's really that simple. I don't expect perfect landings. I've never sent someone into a solo with perfect landings. I've always just wanted them to be safe, okay? When I first started flight instructing, I would hold off on solos because I'm like, yeah, you could have been better, or like, you're still landing kind of hard. And I would hold off on it because I was nervous and I was new. And you don't really know when to send students on a solo. I mean, you do, but now that I've become more experienced, if you're not like putting the plane at risk or your life or other people's life at risk, and you're repeating that over and over again, meaning like you're doing okay over and over again, then you're going to solo. Okay. Whether that takes place at 12 hours, 20 hours, 50 hours, it doesn't matter as long as you're safe. Okay. I've had students where they were 40, 50 hours in, and they would do improper go rounds, or they would get too slow on base to final, or they would fly backwards in the pattern because they panic or whatever it is. And that just tells me they're not ready to solo. But most of the time, if I have students where they're landing the plane okay, right? It's not the prettiest, it's not comfortable. They might be a little side loaded, or they might eat up some extra runway. But if they're repeating decent, safe landings over and over again, and they're not freaking out and they're maintaining a decently calm composure, then they're going to solo. It's pretty simple. So if you're a student right now and your instructor is not letting you solo, there might be a good reason for that. So one, you're not safe, okay? You and take this. I want you, if you're not soloed yet, right? You need to ask your instructor, why haven't I soloed yet? And if they give you a good reason, meaning, well, you botched a go around and almost stall spun above the runway, then you're like, fair enough, you're actually saving my life right now. Or they're like, yeah, on base to final, you got 55 knots and we got a stall horn. Okay, fair enough. Or yeah, you destroyed the nose wheel. All right, fair enough. But if you ask your instructor, you're like, hey, I'm 50 hours in, shouldn't we be like soloing soon? And they're like, yeah, well, you're getting there. Your landings aren't really perfect yet. Then you might want to start probing that a little bit more. Okay, because if you were my student, as long as you're landing the plane and not destroying it, and you're landing on the mains and your speeds are looking okay and you're doing a go around without putting flaps 30 to 0 instantly and letting the nose pitch up and paying attention to power and radio calls, like, if you're just doing decent, right, then you're going to solo with me. And assuming that there is a crosswind, that you know how to land in crosswinds. I don't know, like, as I've gotten more experience, I've actually sent people to solos sooner, assuming that they are ready. And that's one of the things I think is the difference between myself and other instructors, is that I don't pressure my students into soloing. Like, I don't do that quirky, fun Instagram type story time CFI thing where I'm like, all right, see, I'm getting out, have fun. And the student is just completely caught off guard. I don't do that. It makes for a great story. Don't get me wrong. But my student and I, we know exactly when we're going to solo that student. And that has its pros and cons, right? Like, if they expect to solo that day, there's a little bit more pressure put on them, but a lot less pressure than just the CFI getting out and giving them that shock factor. You know what I mean? So I'm very clear to my students. I say, hey, we're going to try to solo today. Okay. If you get up and you get too nervous, or your landings aren't that good, or you want to do it another day, then no big deal. Okay. But I don't rush my students into soloing. That's not to say I won't kind of like push them towards soloing. Like, let me give you an example. I soloed two students on Saturday at the same day, two students, and both of them were just nailing the landings. Okay. And then one of them, he's actually one of my more favorite students to fly with, older guy. he was like, I'm like, are you ready to solo? Like, you're nailing it. He was buttering these landings. And he's like, I want to go a couple more times. And we beat up the pattern maybe 4, 5, 6 more times even. And then I was like, okay, like, let's lay out. I even told him here, he's probably going to watch this video. I told him, like, let's lay out the facts. You're buttering all these landings. Your radio calls are great. I'm bored. And that's a good sign. If I'm bored in the right seat, I'm just like, la, 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 la. Okay, let's do another lap, la, la. If I'm just kind of like listening to my music and just monitoring, then that's a really good sign. And I told him that. I'm like, honestly, I'm bored, which is a good sign. And your landings are really good and safe. So you should probably solo today. And he's like, all right, let's solo, you know. So you do have to kind of push them a little bit, okay? But if you are a student and you ask your instructor, hey, when are we going to solo? And they're like, basically, I'm implying that if they're expecting perfection, right? Let me just tell you, if I waited until my students had perfect landings to solo them, I would never solo anyone. Really, I would never solo anyone because no students, no learning pilot really ever has perfect landings. I've seen some pretty damn good ones, but perfect, nah. I'm 900 hours in. I don't even have perfect landings all the time. You know what I mean? I could always do a little bit better. So why would I expect my student to have perfect landings? So yeah, that's kind of the things I'm looking at as a, you know, also as a flight instructor. Really, the question is, if I were to list out the questions of if my student is ready to solo. I mean, of course, there's the ground knowledge, right? Like you got to know downwinds and crosswinds, and we have definitely gone over power on and off stalls and stuff like that. But if you're landing the plane, if you're going up, oh, and this is another thing too. I won't say anything. Like, if we're gonna solo that day, I'm a ghost. Like, I might give you a tip here and there, okay, but for the most part, I'm not gonna say anything. My students will ask me, "Is there someone coming in on the 45?" I don't know. You tell me. You tell me. Look at your ADSB and is there? How far out are they? If they ask me, "Can I turn now?" You tell me. All right, and that's kind of how I'll that's kind of the vibe of the flight before the solo is. I don't know. You tell me. You know, we've gone over this 100 times. Should I put in flaps now? You tell me. Okay. Generally speaking, when they're about to solo, they're not going to ask that. You know, they're kind of aware at that point. But I've soloed people at 10 hours, and I've taken them from hour 0, and I've had guys solo at 10 hours, 12 hours. Generally speaking, it depends on the student, but anywhere between 25 hours I've seen is pretty 25 to 30 hours, depending on how often they fly, is pretty average. But anyways, if I were to, I'm going to end this video with a list of questions that I ask myself mentally to basically, if that student should solo, it is the plane still in one piece and is it damaged? Okay, no, that's a good sign. Are they maintaining good speeds on base to final? Yes, good. Are they maintaining traffic pattern altitude? Yes. Are they running through their gumps? Yes. How are their radio calls? Good. Okay, great. Are they spectacularly nervous? No, not really. They're a little nervous, but they're not like pissing their pants nervous. Okay, that's good because that does happen sometimes. Peeing and vomiting before solos, and it generally, if a student is doing that, you know, it's a big no-go. It's just a no-go, which you wouldn't believe it, but it does happen. Base to final speeds, radio calls, landings. Like I would rather you, if you're going to slam it down in a Cessna 172, you better freaking slam it on the mains. Okay. Don't even touch the nose wheel. Like the mains better touch first. That's a good sign. If a student is, you know, if they're landing hard, but it's on the mains, I'm like, well, it was a hard landing and it wasn't super pretty, but you were on the mains and that's what they're designed for. Okay. But that can bring a whole slew of problems too, because they bounce too hard on the mains, they're going to bounce up, which leads me to my next point is if you're bouncing on the mains super hard, right? And if you bounce and then you fly back up in the air, that moment right there when they bounce, that's a huge teller. Huge teller. Like right there. Okay, are you going to cushion it with a little bit of power and bring it back down to the ground? Are you going to panic and apply more and more back pressure up in that when you've already bounced and you're at 5, 7, 8 feet in the air? Are you going to apply even more back pressure and panic back pressure, which people do all the time? Are you going to do a go around? Okay, you're going to do a go around. What does that go around look like? Are you going to pull full power in and just fly the plane, incrementally put up flaps? Or are you going to punch full power in and let the nose fly up and then dump flaps to 0? You see what I mean? So those are the things that I'm looking out for. But at the end of the day, it's a vibe check. It's a feeling, okay? It's an observance of facts. All right. Is the student ready to solo? Are they safe? Are they doing what they're taught and what they're supposed to do? If the answer to most of those questions is yes, then great. But at the end of the day, if they're not going to risk other people's lives, they're not going to destroy the plane, and they're not going to kill themselves, then you're probably ready to solo. You're probably ready to solo. And I think most more experienced instructors would agree with me. Um, but yeah, that's kind of the things I look out for when a student is ready to solo, or those things. I don't think I really have anything else. Of course, I'll go over ground knowledge stuff with them because you have to, and I want to. Like, I think it's 6193 says adequate ground knowledge. They have to take their written exam, make sure all their medical's good. For us, we're private, so it's insurance. But yeah, also tell them this, okay? And keep this in mind if you're going into a solo, is that have fun. Like, solos are really serious, and sometimes I think we make them a little bit too serious. I get it, right? There's inherent risk involved, but have fun. Like, you're only going to solo once in your life. Like, you're only going to do this one time. I mean, you'll solo again and again, but this is your first solo, you know? You don't have two first solos. This is your only solo. So go up and enjoy it. Like, enjoy that heart pounding thrill. Enjoy that nervousness because it goes away. And then enjoy the experience. Really take it all in. Take deep breaths. Loosen up. And just take it all in, you know? And if you really try to enjoy that experience and think of it like, I'm going to enjoy this. I've been properly trained. My instructor trusts me. I trust myself. Then that's it. Like, you're good to go. Okay? But enjoy it at the end of the day because you're going to really hopefully cherish that experience. Okay? Yeah. Any comments or anything in the comment bar here, I'd appreciate. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys. I'll see you.